some of the greatest works of art in terms of value have been works of art that have been simple in their execution of values, as far as simple in the pattern of values. I have an example here. This is a painting by John Singer Sargent. He's one of my favorite painters. There's just so much I've learned from Sargent, not only in the area of drawing, because he was an excellent draftsman when it came to drawing. He knew how to get shapes correct. He could put things down correctly, but also in the area of value. If you look here at this painting, you've got a very dark value in the entire background. Everything is very dark. The figures almost get lost as they begin to go down. Even the woman's hair gets lost in that dark value. All you see is a very subtle highlight, which is not really light at all in value, right on that hair there. But if you look over here at the black and white version, you can definitely see the value relationships. See how Sargent's placed this simple value, this head up here. He's placed this simple shape of the scarf right here. This simple area in the hand, that value is right there. And then he's got all this dark on this side, but when it comes to values, you need a balance in your painting. You need a balance between all of that dark and all of that light. And so because Sargent has all of these dark values over here, he's used the outfit of the boy to help balance out this side of the painting. So you've got all of this light over here next to all of this dark over here, which helps to balance the picture out. And then you've got this gray value sort of in between, in the middle, which is nice. But this simplicity of placing values, you don't have to have values scattered everywhere. In fact, the more closely that you can keep your values together, the more simple. When I say keep them together closely, I'm talking about simplifying values to make them bigger shapes, to make them hold together a little bit better. The more simple you can keep those values, the better, because it actually reads better for the viewer. When someone looks at your painting, they're actually seeing things held together as bigger shapes, which is more pleasing to the eye, rather than having a bunch of scattered values, a bunch of lights scattered over here, scattered down there. There's no real focal point that your viewer can focus on, which is extremely important. Whereas if you keep your values together, just like Sargent did here, very simple, it helps the viewer to stay in a certain area of the painting. And I had mentioned earlier about an extreme light value next to an extreme dark value. A lot of times artists will use an extreme light value next to an extreme dark value if it's an area where they want to draw the viewer's attention, which is another technique that artists use as well. And you can see it on the top of the hat here, that boy. Sargent wants to draw your attention over to this area, so you'll start to focus on that boy's head. You've got a very light area here, which is next to this dark area, but it helps to come up, it helps to lead, and then there's a little bend there in the elbow. It's a slightly lighter value than your darkest value, but it helps to turn your eye, to kind of lead your eye back up into the head here. Everything is placed just in the right place by Sargent on purpose. None of this is accidental. Same thing when it comes to you. When you're working and you're painting, your values are not something that are accidental. They have to be planned and they have to be thought out, because values, in order to work, have to work together. And in order for values to work together, they have to have the correct relationship, which is what we've talked about earlier. Now, to demonstrate a little bit better what I'm talking about in terms of value relationships, I'm going to go ahead and take this canvas off the easel and switch it out with a blank canvas and another photo to work from. And I'm going to show you in paint more of what I'm talking about as far as that comparison between a dark value and a light value and value relationships in general. And then I see just a little bit of a highlight, which is not a highlight like those are, but just actually right on this side. Okay, and then one more highlight right up in here. Let's see. Okay, now that's too big of a highlight, so I'm going to go ahead and fix that real quick. Don't want it to be that big. Let's see. Okay. We're just about finished. I'm just going to add that there's a slight highlight there. Actually, no. I think if I just pull these two shapes together with a dry brush, it'll actually do the same thing.